Okay, we're live. Hello, everyone. I'm doing a live today instead of recording this video because that's how important I felt it was. Because here we are in 2025, and I think it's important for us to talk about intent versus fear and how we can get to those goals that we may have set for ourselves. So, can we control our choices even in our sleep? This isn't a struggle that just plays out in our waking hours. It turns out that it actually seeps into our dreams. So it's shaping our subconscious landscape. So I want to explore the battleground within our minds. So fear versus intent. Because sometimes we experience fear in aspects of our lives that really holds us back. Fear is an emotional response that's triggered by some sort of perceived threat, which in turn then gets our body ready for some sort of fight or flight reaction. It is a fundamental, deeply wired reaction because it's essential for survival. It alerts us to danger. It prepares us of how to deal with it. But exactly why is it showing up in times that it's not actually needed? And we're going to get into a few spaces that it actually does that. But first, I want to take a look at intent because this is, after all, looking at fear versus intent or as compared to it. Because intent, on the other hand, is the focused determination to perform some action, or maybe you want to achieve a goal. And so that's going to involve you planning and consciously decision making. So, some sort of choice that's usually aimed at bringing out some sort of desired future outcome. Okay. Now, if anyone is in here when you pop in, welcome to my live. And if you're watching the replay, welcome. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, don't please use the comment section and I'll stop and I'll answer them and respond to them as we're going through. So let's keep going. Now, there is a clear difference between intent and fear. And if we look deeper into fear to really understand its purpose, because sometimes we just don't understand why we are hesitating or why we are feeling this. Fear's primal nature can actually be traced back to our earliest ancestors. And it was important back then because immediate responses would keep you alive. So, immediate responses to threats where they were just a matter of life and death. So we have this instinctual response that has really evolved to protect us, causing these physiological changes that are preparing our body to enter, either we need to flee danger or we need to confront it head on. So understanding this can help us appreciate then why fear then can feel sometimes overwhelming and all consuming. And also, it can help us understand why we may have certain innate fears. And in my example, I'll give you my example because I definitely have a few. But the example I give you is heights. I literally shake if I'm up high. This is actually instinctual because if I were to fall from somewhere high up, I would definitely threaten my survival. So it's a primal force of nature, y'all. Now, unlike the automatic responses that are driven by fear, let's take a look at intent. Because intent is a product of our higher cognitive function. So basically, our thought processes. And intent is guided usually by our values, it's guided by our desires, our goals, and it's usually sustained then by our ability to foresee, to plan, and to aspire to reach those goals. And intent usually empowers us in ways which help us to navigate through any challenges, life challenges that we're having, and it's usually towards a specific chosen destination. Now, it can turn the things that we dream about, the things that we aspire to, into reality. And it does this through deliberate action. So it's seen more of a conscious, goal oriented force, less of that sort of instinctual force. And you probably did not know that both fear and intent significantly influence your decision making processes, but they do it in very different ways. Okay. Now, fear can narrow your focus, certainly can do that. And it can lead you to make conservative choices, I'll say, or maybe avoidance based choices. And this is based on potential risks and negative outcomes. Because if you're looking at intent, in contrast, intent will broaden your perspective and it will encourage you to make decisions that will align with your long term goals and aspirations. So it will prompt you to sort of take these calculated risks. Now, you need to understand the interplay between the two, because understanding the interplay between fear and intent can help you make a more balanced and informed decision and choices. And yes, even in your sleep. And stay with me because I have more on that in a little bit. But first, let's talk about how these two interact when you're trying to make a decision. Now, and this just isn't like a deep decision, because fear driven decision making will often happen in the heat of the moment. You're going to bypass any rational thought in favor of some sort of immediate emotional reaction that you're having. And these decisions are typically geared towards avoidance. So you're avoiding some sort of perceived threat or danger, even when those threats or danger might not be as severe. They might not even exist, or they might not be as imminent. Yeah, I can talk today, as you might think. Okay. And this kind of reaction, or it's a reactionary decision making, and it can lead you to make choices that you haven't thought out well. And these choices often don't align with your long term goals. Now, think about it. Has anyone ever approached you? Maybe you're in a work situation. You've already got tons of things to do. You're overtasked, and someone comes to you and they need something. Maybe it's your boss, maybe it's your colleague right away. Have you found yourself overcommitting and making a decision in the moment based off of especially if it's your boss? Well, maybe they don't think I work as well and I'm trying to get a raise. It happens in relationships as well. There are different examples for that. And if you're making these quick decisions, this alone will significantly stop your own personal growth. Now, if you're making them once here or there, that's not what I'm necessarily talking about. I'm talking about a continual pattern that you have, and it's creating invisible barriers that will keep you from stepping out of your comfort zone. And you usually need to do that to grow in some way. But that said, it is still hard to imagine fear because we feel it. Most of us have felt it, but it's really hard to imagine that feeling having a say in our most intimate choices in life. Fear actually shows up in places that it's really difficult for you to recognize. Now, in relationships, we'll use relationships, okay? Fear might manifest as jealousy. It might manifest as insecurity and maybe avoidance of intimacy. And it can prevent deep, meaningful connections. Fear also manifests as anxiety. I know a lot of people suffer from anxiety. There are a lot of ways in which fear can show up in our life. Now, as you can see, recognizing, so we understand what fear is doing and the possible role that it's playing. So recognizing how fear operates is our first step towards addressing these issues. That's going to help us foster healthier personal development. And in the example I gave, stronger relationships, because fear can lead to you missing out on opportunities and having a limited life when decisions are made out of fear. So these, you may miss an opportunity for advancement, you may miss an opportunity for enrichment because you're outright avoiding it or you're overlooking it. Now excuse me, this avoidance can lead to a life that you're living that essentially is constrained, and you're not feeling fulfilled because you're making decisions, you're letting fear really take the front seat, and it's limiting the range of experiences and interactions you can have with different people or different opportunities, and it's giving you a narrower slice of life's potential. That you're getting a small piece of cake, if you're even getting a piece of cake, or the really tiny piece of pie. Okay. Now, or as I say, I had a friend who used to give a public cut up pie or cake, like public slices, which were really small. Yeah. So that's what you're getting, that micro slice. Now, how do we transmute fear into a more purposeful decision making intent? Well, transitioning to a mindset that's driven by intent is going to involve a few things. First of all, you need to recognize your fear based triggers, and they're going to be different for everybody. And you're going to need to consciously choose to respond differently. And when you feel that emotion rising, you feel that anxiety rising from a situation, that's one of the things that you need to recognize within yourself. And this shift that you're going to need to do, you're going to need to respond differently, is going to require you to be aware. It's going to take practice. It's going to take practice. Okay. You need to give yourself grace, because it's going to involve moving from a reactive behavior to a more proactive behavior. So what does that actually mean? Well, it means you're going to emphasize intentionality in your choices, in your decisions, so that you can make sure that your actions, your behaviors are aligning with your personal values and long-term aspirations that you have set for yourself in 2025, before and beyond. Now, there is some importance of setting clear goals and envisioning desired outcomes, because intention really thrives on clarity and vision. So, actually, I suggest you write them out. Okay. You need to set clear, achievable goals, small, and start small. I have tons of videos, and I'll link a few in the description, that talks about the idea of manageable goals. Okay. Because these are going to provide a roadmap for your action and for your decision making. So essentially, it's going to reduce the amount of space fear has in your life to run amok, to operate, because you're envisioning the desired outcome. And it also helps maintain your focus. So it's going to guide your decision making process towards your own visions and aspirations that you've set, despite potential fears and setbacks. You're going to have occasional setbacks. We all do. So the role of self-belief then plays a role, and confidence, in overcoming fear-based limitations. So you can see how all this is coming together, because building self-belief and confidence is crucial for you to mitigate the impact of fear, for you to stop the role that fear is playing in your life, in this specific instance, decision making. Because confidence empowers you. You'll be able to face challenges. you'll be able to do them head on rather than trying to avoid them. If you're a person that finds yourself avoiding difficult, challenging situations, you're going to be able to practice. And each time you do it, you're going to get better and more confident. When you have strong belief systems, the inevitable failures and setbacks are seen as learning opportunities rather than confirmations of whatever doubts you may have about yourself. So you are also really building resilience. Now, let me give you a few practical, and there's tons of them, but today I'm just going to share a few practical tools and techniques to help you identify and overcome some of your fear-based choices. And then I'm going to talk to you about how you can do this in your sleep. Okay. So, practical tools and techniques to identify and overcome fear driven choices. Well, empowering yourself to make decisions based on intent rather than fear begins with your ability to identify your fear, your trigger. Okay. That influences your choices. Tools, there are tons of tools out there, tools such as journaling. And I actually am going to talk more about this in my next video. I'm actually have revamped this journal in the process of doing it. Of course, the first edition is wonderful. It's a tool that you can use. I'll link where you can get this in the description. So this takes you through this. This employs, it's not your typical shadow book journal, but I'll save that for my next video. But it's a great way to journal. So journaling, and even if you just want to take a blank piece of paper and not have any guided prompts, just journal, okay? You're going to need to have some behavioral techniques set in place. You're going to need to have some emotional awareness, and they can really help you recognize any of these fear-based patterns that are specific to you. And then from that, you can develop strategies to challenge and overcome them. So that's one of the benefits that you will get if you join my Patreon membership that's launching, believe, on this channel February 14th. So I will be going deep into things like that. So I'll be coaching you there and providing you much, much, much more insight. Now, another benefit or another tool and strategy that you can use is mindfulness and self-reflection. So important. They're essential practices for anyone that's looking to harness the power of intention. These practices help you stay present. They help you stay engaged. They reduce your stress, so your cortisol levels go down. They help you with clarity. They help you reach your desires and regular self-reflection. I do that. I just reflected just this morning. It's so important for self-reflection because it helps me, and it's going to help you understand your own behaviors, your own actions, any outcome, anything you need to do to make changes so you can continue to grow. And you have to make those necessary adjustments so that you can align more closely with your intention, and just do a check to make sure that you haven't pivoted away from your own intentions, whatever that may be. For me, that's across all domains in my life, my relationships, my career. I'm a mom, those types of things. Am I doing the right thing? All of those things. And there's an importance that comes with conscious action and taking calculated risks, because here's the deal. Choices and decisions, we always wonder sometimes, are we making the right decision and choice? And we have these calculated risk, and it is a crucial aspect of living intentionally, because thinking consciously and taking action means that you're making decisions based on a clearer understanding of both the risks and the benefits, rather than just like reacting out of fear or hurrying up and making that decision. when you do this, when you approach your decisions this way, you're actually encouraging growth in your life and you're learning. I'm a lifetime learner. I don't know about you. There's always something I can learn. It pushes you to step out of your comfort zone. I think a lot of us struggle with that. Excuse me, because staying in what's familiar and what's comforting to us, it feels good. And we are hardwired as humans to do and stay with what feels good. We don't want anything aversive that doesn't feel bad. So that is so important that we learn how to step out of those comfort zones so that we can embrace all of the opportunities that life has for us and that align with our own goals. They're going to be individual and our own values. So, very important. It's so huge to have a life that's driven by intention, that's aligned with your own intent, because you're going to have really profound personal and professional transformation. And when I say professional, I'm including like wealth. You may have wealth goals in there. We all want to live in abundance. And so these are things that you can do to get there, abundance in all areas of your life. And when you align that with intention, it's going to contribute to your larger purpose. So your daily life is going to be more meaningful. It's going to be more directed. And over time, when you have this intent driven, this purpose driven approach to your life, it can lead to significant changes and achievements. And you got to practice. I'm going to tell you, you got to practice. I'm not the only one out here talking about these things. And if you've showed up on my live or if you're watching this, the playback, then there are tons of people out there talking about this type of stuff, and there's a reason for that, because it's so important. When you have a clear vision and you have the tools to use to reach that clear vision of your future, it really is a foundation of a life driven by intention. So setting specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound goals is a method to turn your vision into reality. And you're going to want to make sure you use actionable steps from these goals to have consistent. So do a check in with yourself, be honest with yourself regularly, because we can get off our path sometimes, to make sure you're making progress so that you're turning your vision into achievable chunks of effort and focus. And that's just going to empower yourself for purpose and fulfillment, because you're going to recognize and embrace these choices that you're able to make now with intention instead of fear-based choices dominating your life. Okay. Living with intent will involve you to regularly and continuously align your actions and your core values with whatever desired outcome that you have. And so that's going to foster your life. It will be filled with purpose. It will be filled with fulfillment. You will empower yourself. You're going to have continuous personal growth. I know it seems like a lot, but I'm telling you, this is one of the ways in which you can reach your goals, any goal that you've set for 2025 or beyond. Now, I promised you I'd talk about how you can do this in your sleep. And I promise every night as we drift into sleep, our minds do a dance between the realms of fear and intent. And as we sleep, our subconscious continues to process the experiences we had in our waking hours, our daytime experiences. By consciously setting all the stuff I talked about before, when you're consciously setting intentions before bed, and you can do this through meditation, you can do this through journaling. There are so many different ways that you can do. Affirmations are so important. I have tons of videos on those on well, maybe not tons, I'm making more. but I have a lot of them on my video. Affirmations are so important. You can influence the direction of your dreams and your subconscious thoughts because you're setting intentions in whatever way you choose to do it before you go to sleep. And here's the secret. Each night, as I'm drifting to sleep, because we all have that moment where we've, laid down, however we sleep, and we're drifting off to sleep, I imagine the future that I am working towards. I visualize. I've already achieved my goals. I've already taken the steps that I'm going to be taking the next day or through the week. And I'm feeling the feelings of success. That is the secret. That is the secret. Do this and your life is going to change. And remember, the key to a life driven by intention is not just in the actions that we take when we're awake, but also in the dreams we nurture when we are asleep. Okay? So very, very important. So tonight, when you go to bed, I want you to ask yourself this question as you're drifting off. Am I nurturing fear or am I cultivating intent? The choice is yours and it can truly transform your life. So, that is the live that I wanted to do for y'all. Went on talking about fear-based decisions, intents. So very, very important. I wanted to give you a secret that you can actually take with you tonight. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I'm so happy for anyone that was able to show up to this unscheduled live. I wanted it to be really quick. I know everybody's time is so important. But if you have comments or questions, if you're watching this through the playback, please leave them in the comments and I will come and I will answer them. And please take the time to ask yourself that question before you go to sleep tonight. And until I see you again, do something nice for yourself and do something nice for someone else. I'll see you on the next video.